And that's the problem.
What does this mean for you now? You appealed the expulsion by the GMB, didn't you? And as far as I understand, a decision will be made pretty soon on that. Is that right, Peter?
Today. No, I got the letter 5 minutes ago. I just came in the door.
Well, what was the decision?
All right, so you're the very first person in the universe.
This is an exclusive, yeah.
It's an exclusive to you. They've upheld the decision and they're expelling me. So my appeal failed and this decision is final. So they're expelling me. Do you want me to read you the letter? It's a quick letter, it's a short one.
Yeah, read it, Peter, yeah.
The Appeals Committee determined that, whilst you have every right to your freedom of speech, that on being advised of GMB policy by the GMB Scotland Secretary, and despite being asked to cease and desist, you continued to post online and send emails against the decisions and policies set out by the governing authorities of the Union in clear breach of Rule 43.3. So basically, they told me to stop talking to people about Israel. And I said, piss off. And I kept doing it. And as far as they're concerned, by doing that, I've broken the rules of the Union. So because they wrote to me and said, cease and desist. Now, the line before it, they say, whilst you have every right to your freedom of speech. Well, clearly you don't have any rights to freedom of speech. I mean, there's 650,000 members in the GMB, and this letter takes their rights to freedom of speech and flushes it down the toilet.
You can't work as a shop steward for that union. How does it affect your own protection by the union?
Well, I'll probably have to go and join another union now, but I'm not going to take this lying down. Okay, so I'm the only GMB shop steward for 24,000 people. So where I work, 24,000 employees, I'm the only GMB steward. So now they have no GMB steward. And nobody looking like there'll be a GMB steward, and they're stupid. You know, why did they do that? Why did they cut off their nose to spite their face? What I'm going to do is fight this. I'm going to fight this. And I can't fight it with the union anymore. I'll have to fight it in court.
That could be costly, though, Peter.
So do you know what kind of court case we're talking about?
I don't. I mean, I'm very familiar with the laws of libel as a journalist, but in this type of litigation, I wouldn't know how you would go about that.
It's called, right, have you come across a guy called Michael Mansfield?
Yes, of course. Yeah, he's been on this programme, Michael, yeah. The barrister.
He's the best QC in the country.
Yeah.
And he is working with me on this and has been working with me on this for 3 or 4 months. And together, we are going to boot this thing into the long grass. I mean, because we can do what's called a judicial review. A judicial review allows a judge to look at an organisation's decision and decide whether it is reasonable. So, and if it decides it's unreasonable, it can force that organisation to reverse that decision. So, this is the court, you know, it's the High Court. In Scotland, because I'm living in Scotland, I think it will be the Court of Session. I have much better chance of it succeeding in Scotland because Scottish people in general support the Palestinians quite heavily. You know, Scotland sees itself as a kind of colonised country. So generally, Scots folk are right behind the Palestinians, which is good news because I think if I fight the court case here, I might get a better hearing. But, I mean, that's what I want to do. And this is what I've always wanted to do. I have wanted, since the middle of August last year, the whole thing about this IHRA definition is, as you look at it and as you see it, everyone says it's not legally binding. And on the back of that, not only have all the trade unions adopted it, the big trade unions, Unison, Unite, ASTO, GMB, not only all the political parties, that's the Scottish National Party, the Labour Party, the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, the Lib Dems, they've all adopted it. The only party that hasn't is the Greens, for which I have a lot of respect. All these parties have adopted it. The government has issued a directive to all the schools and universities to abide by it. The police have adopted it. An awful lot of councils have adopted it, local authorities, Brighton and Hove recently, Liverpool, all the big councils, they've all adopted it. Recently, there was a guy in Dudley, a worker, was suspended, and they were going to fire him because he said Israel was racist in his own time. There's a ridiculous, Paul Johnson, his name was ridiculous.
Well, this is a country. This is a country that we know sterilised African Jews. We know this to be true. That on its own, you look at the stories around Ethiopian Jews, and those stories on their own are enough to convince anybody that Israel and the Israeli government and the political thinking of successive Israeli governments is endemic in terms of its racism. Of course it is. We've only got about 3 or 4 minutes to go. The $64 million question is, Peter, why has Jeremy Corbyn, John McDonnell, and these old social democrats who walked and marched against the Israeli treatment of the indigenous Palestinians, why have they rolled over against this? I know for a fact that the country, let alone the Labour Party, is not being overrun by people who don't like Jews. It's not being overrun by people who deny that Jews were murdered and imprisoned in Nazi Germany. It isn't. Those people they don't exist. It's so marginal. I know that this is bollocks, excuse my language. So why has the Labour Party, the old socialists, Corbyn, McDonnell, why have they rolled over or even bent over and taken their trousers down? Why? Why haven't they fought it?
Okay, now you've got to remember two things. Jenny Formby released figures about 2 weeks ago saying that only 0.1% of Labour Party members had been accused, and that would include me. So you're talking about a tiny number. It's nothing like endemic, 0.1%. I've been in the Labour Party on and off since for 40 years. I've never seen any anti-Semitism. Okay, you're asking about Corbyn. On the 5th of September, the IHRA definition, having been passed by the NEC against the advice of Jeremy Corbyn, then went to the Parliamentary Labour Party. Out of 257 Labour MPs, 200 MPs voted in favour of it. Only 8 voted against. And you can maybe guess who those 8 were. Well, obviously, Jeremy Corbyn was one, Chris Williamson was one, Nad Shah was one. There were very few. So these are a tiny minority. The sensible people in power in the Labour Party are in a tiny minority. They are drowned out. I mean, I wrote to my MP, Ian Murray, Edinburgh South, why have you done this? And he says, oh, well, because everybody's doing it. Why have you voted in favour of it, Ian? Because everybody else is. Well, the schools and universities have got it. Of course the Labour Party's got to have it. So it's this kind of herd mentality. There's kind of Holocaust guilt going around. That's why half the country, I mean, we're talking tens of millions of people that now no longer have freedom of speech in Israel. If they criticise Israel, if they say it's racist, they're likely to lose their jobs or they're likely to be suspended. So this is having a very dampening effect on discourse and debate, which is what it's intended. Because the whole thing is invented to stop sanctions ever being brought out against Israel. If Jeremy Corbyn became Prime Minister, and if he so much as suggested that Israel was racist and needed sanctions, he would be expelled from his own party.
Well, he might
and
be,
that's why this is important. That's why I've got to win this battle, because we've got to kill this IHRA definition. We have to test it in court, because no one's tested it in court. We have to test it in court and show it's a pile of poo. And it's a manufactured definition. Nothing wrong with the Oxford English Dictionary definition of anti-Semitism, which is discrimination and prejudice against Jews. That's what works. This whole nonsense is being confected as a means of killing free speech in this country, and they're winning.
Peter,
they're winning. They've done very well, and they're winning, and we have to fight it.
Well, you will hopefully come back on as it progresses and let us know how you're getting on. And I genuinely wish you all the best with it. I think, I think you're honest. I think I can't make an argument against what you've said about the IHRA definition. I don't agree with it either. It's despairing to see the party.
Can I say something very quickly?
30 seconds and then we're out, Peter. Go ahead.
Okay. The Rabbi Aaron Cohen, he came to all my hearings. He's an Orthodox Jew. And he said to the GMB, nothing Pete Gregson has said or done is, to us, we don't find anything he says threatening or prejudicial against Jews. So if I, as an Orthodox rabbi, don't have a problem with what he's saying, why do you?
Yeah.
Now, I would like your listeners to look at this video. If you've got a pencil, go to tinyurl.com/GMBIHRA. because then if they look at the video, they'll begin to understand what's going on, and they'll get some hints about getting in touch with me and how we can keep working on this thing together, because we need everybody in the country to mobilise for this.
Peter, I'll tweet links to the video out, and I'll get my friend who looks after the Facebook page to put a link to the video on Facebook. Okay. Thanks for coming on, Peter. Good luck with it.
Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me today.
It was a pleasure, mate. Thanks for coming on the show. That was Peter Gregson there. Peter was, until recently anyway, a shop steward. Liberal, socialist. He's a trade unionist, Labour member, and took umbrage at the insistence of the Jewish Labour movement and his own party that the party adopt the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. He put it